If you only knew how extradition works, would you change your opinion about Donna Adelson, that she was fleeing to a non-extradition country that would not extradite her? Hello, all you legal-minded friends. You know information is power, so let's get started. In this video, we're going to cover two issues: misdirection and extradition agreements. And we're going to use the Donna Adelson case. And just to give you a bit of a background, on my video connecting the dots to murder, I shared an unbelievable case of Donna Adelson being arrested. She is a grandmother who is accused of taking part in her son-in-law being gunned down in a murder-for-hire plot. Her son Charlie Adelson has already been found guilty by a jury. Now, I found this so unusual that a mother and, slash grandmother would get involved in such horrific criminal activity. I had to see if this was a thing, and I found another case in Florida where a mother told her son to kill her grandchild's mother. So you can check out that video for more details. I'll leave it in the description area. So the news was reporting, and you can see it on the right-hand side of the screen, that Donna Adelson has a consciousness of guilt, having previously spoken about plans to flee to a non-extradition country. Other reporting, as you can see on the left, was that it is alleged that Donna was fleeing the country and heading to Vietnam because the United States does not have a treaty with Vietnam. Okay, so we're being told that Donna Adelson is fleeing, which means running away from a place or situation of danger from someone or something. Then when you add in the mix running off to Vietnam, a country having no extradition agreement with the USA, the dots connect, right? Or are we being misdirected? What does it mean to have an extradition agreement with another country? In order to explain what it means to have an extradition agreement with another country, I can explain it to you in a couple of ways. So, first of all, I read a case in the UK involving the United States of America, who, mind you, does have an extradition agreement with the USA. And there was an application to the courts not to extradite. So I want to tell you about a few cases that have been through the courts, because the outcomes will surprise you. But before we talk about all that, let's have some fun. So very quickly, I want you to look at the next screen and tell me what color do you see on the screen. So either write down or put it in the chat. Okay, let's see what people wrote, because I remembered this cognitive anomaly. And I'll tell you about that in just a second. But I first want to play a short clip, as it will illustrate what I'm going to talk about. And this clip is from the Sci show, Psych. Then I'll explain.
In order to deal with all the information the world throws at us, human brains have developed cognitive shortcuts. Usually these shortcuts are helpful and you're totally unaware of them, but sometimes they can slow you down or even be your downfall. Today on SciShow, find out how your brain can betray you. One of the most famous and well-studied examples of how our brain's automatic processing can trip us up is the Stroop task. Its name comes from American psychologist J.R. Stroop, who designed the test way back in the 1930s.
So I've left you a link in the description area below. So what did you write down? Green or red? Because the question was, what color did you see on the screen? The color is actually red, but how many people wrote green? To me, this experiment is a great illustration of what can happen when you have selective attention. And the meaning of selective attention is the process of directing our awareness relevant to stimuli in the environment. So the relevant stimuli in the Donna Adelson case is that she was arrested at the airport, and the word fleeing was used, and to capture our attention even more by saying the country she was heading to had no extradition treaty. This will no doubt leave us to believe that she was getting out of Dodge before she was accused of conspiracy to commit murder, especially after her son Charlie was convicted. And if we had no knowledge of how Vietnam would handle an extradition of an American citizen, then we make connections. And this might be what the prosecutor is going to try to do. As it is true, Vietnam is on the list of countries that is without an extradition agreement. So you are directed there by the news reporting that Donna Adelson was fleeing to a non-extradition country. They're leading you to believe that she's avoiding justice, right? Because you're going to believe that it has no extradition to send her back. But if you had the knowledge of how extradition agreements work, then you might think to yourself, is she really doing that? So let me give you some knowledge about extradition agreements, and then let's see if you can come to your own conclusion. I'm going to tell you about some knowledge, and once you've heard these cases I'm about to tell you, then at the end I'm going to ask you, would you still believe Donna Adelson was fleeing to escape justice? So that's the question. Use logical thinking. Can you erase what the news reported? And so let's get into misconceptions about extradition agreements. The law regarding agreements and an extradition agreement is an agreement, and they can be challenged in court, just like as if you were to sign an agreement and later on you find out that the agreement is not what you agreed to. And this could be one example, that the practical implications are unreasonable. Your choices are to mutually have the agreement rewritten, or if the person you've made the agreement with has insisted on holding you liable, then, and let's say they've taken court action, then you can actually ask the court to decide. So I have 3 examples for you regarding extradition agreements, and before ending I will let you know what the UK Parliament has to say about extradition agreements. Now, this first case explains why Edinburgh court refused to extradite an Aberdeen man to Texas. The argument was that this man allegedly shot a security guard in Texas, and the extradition request was to stand trial in the United States. And this case went to the Scottish courts, and the court refused to extradite this person back to Texas on the grounds of human rights. So, would you like to hear the background of this? Because this is quite interesting. So, the background is Daniel McGee grew up between United States and Scotland and is accused of shooting a security guard in the foot during a fraternity party at the University of Texas. McGee was charged and was given a $50,000 bond, and while on bond, he fled back to Scotland. So he has not returned to the USA because his barrister has argued that the prison conditions in Texas constitute an international human rights violation. For example, the state prisons in Texas do not have quality food. Now, I'm not sure what they are fed in Texas, but I doubt it's just bread and water. But if anybody in the chat knows, Can you please let us know? The other human rights violation is that inmates are forced to do hard labor. So I did some research, and I can tell you that Texas does not have the chain gang labor anymore. So from what my research found is that if inmates refuse to work, they will be on special restrictions, like remaining in their cells for 24 hours a day, even to eat. And you can read the other restrictions. I've left them there, and I've put a link to that in my description area. And the other human right violation is the size of the cells. They are much smaller and do not meet UK standards. I've done a video on what it is like in England prisons, so I will leave you with that link in the description area below. Additional concerns that Maggie's barrister argued was that the US officials reportedly declined to give assurances that McGee's rights would be protected. As a result, the court refused to extradite Mr. McGee back to the US. In another case, the Scottish authorities did sign an extradition order for an American fugitive who is accused of faking his death to avoid rape charges in Utah. Yet this might be delayed because of another case in Britain. And here's the parliamentary review I wanted to tell you about. It discusses the UK-USA extradition agreements plus with other countries. They confirm that, as you can see there on the screen, a judge is to determine if there is no extradition to answer to. And they give reasons why a refusal order to extradite can be made. So I just wanted to point that out because UK does indeed have an extradition agreement with United States. However, that doesn't always mean it will happen. And on the other side of that, just because Vietnam has no extradition agreement doesn't mean that they would not extradite. As you can see in this article, Vietnam cooperated in the capture of 2 American fugitives and returned them to the USA. So the key takeaway is, as Donna Adelson is an American, I think Vietnam would have extradited her. Could there be a different reason that she was flying to Vietnam? Like maybe to put her business affairs in order there. Who knows? This case is going to be interesting. And the other thing I want to say is, remember the green versus red Stroop test. Are you being misdirected? Do you need to know more information before you can be sure of something? So please like this video if you like this kind of content. Hit the subscribe button and the notification bell if you want to be notified when I'm going live or upload another video. I'm Karen Cole from Legal Minded Friends. Information is power, meaning if you know something, you can make decisions that are right for you. By leaving a comment, you may help someone else that will read your comment. And of course, I love to read all comments as they are valued, and together we can be more informed. And this information may help you or someone you know. On this channel, you'll find a variety of playlists to suit every curiosity about the justice system. And we provide you with a visual to information and the process.